The morning they escorted me out of my own company, the company I had built from a kitchen table, from nothing, from years of skipped vacations and missed birthdays and nights I fell asleep at my desk. I was holding a cardboard box with a dead plant, a coffee mug, and a framed photo of my daughter. The security guard wouldn't look me in the eye, and the woman walking 2 steps behind him, making sure I actually left the building, was my best friend of 11 years. She was the one who had taken everything from me.
And I want you to know right now, before we go a single second further, that this story does not end in that parking lot. Not even close. Because 5 years later, I would be sitting across a conference table from that same woman while she begged me to save the company she had stolen. Stay with me, because what happened in those 5 years is something you will not forget. My name is Rachel Torres. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, the youngest of 4 kids in a household where my parents worked 2 jobs each and still had to choose between the electric bill and groceries some months. I didn't grow up with connections. I didn't grow up with safety nets. What I grew up with was the understanding, drilled into me from the time I could understand words, that if you wanted something, you built it yourself. I moved to Austin at 24 with $4,000, a laptop, and an idea. The idea was simple: a boutique staffing firm that specialized in placing mid-career women back into corporate roles after career gaps, maternity leaves, caregiving years, medical situations. Women who had taken time away and were now being treated by the corporate world like they had never existed at all. I knew the problem intimately. My own mother had left her accounting job to care for my grandmother. When she tried to return to the workforce 6 years later, nobody would return her calls. I called my company Relaunch Partners. In the first year, I placed 22 women. In the second year, 61. By year 4, we had a staff of 18, clients in 9 states, and I had been named one of Austin's top 40 entrepreneurs under 40. And through every single step of that climb, there was one person beside me. Her name was Diane Holt, my best friend since our junior year at UT Austin, my maid of honor, my daughter's godmother, my co-founder.
Here is what I need you to understand about Diane, because this next part will not make sense unless you do. Diane was brilliant, genuinely remarkably brilliant. She could read a room better than anyone I had ever met. She could charm a client in under 5 minutes and close a deal in under 10. She had a warmth that made people feel like they had known her their whole lives. That warmth was real. I believed in it completely, which is exactly why I never saw what was building beneath it. In our 5th year, I started noticing small things. A meeting I hadn't been invited to, a client email where I had been quietly removed from the thread, a board member, a man named Frank Calloway, a retired venture capitalist who had been an early investor, who suddenly stopped returning my calls, but always seemed to have time for Diane. I told myself I was being paranoid. We were busy. Things slipped through the cracks. I trusted her. Of course I trusted her. Then, one Thursday in March, I came into the office at 6:30 in the morning, something I always did, something Diane always teased me about. And I found a document on the shared printer that hadn't been picked up. It was a board resolution, proposing to remove me as CEO of the company I had founded. The signatures at the bottom included Diane's and Frank Calloway's, and 2 other board members I had personally recruited. I stood in that empty office for a very long time. Then I put the document in my bag, walked to my desk, made a cup of coffee, and waited. And now, before I tell you what happened next, if this story is already making you feel something, hit that subscribe button right now and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because this community exists for every woman who was ever underestimated by someone who was supposed to be in her corner. Drop a comment below and tell me,
Have you ever been betrayed by someone you completely trusted? Because the responses to that question are going to break your heart and give you chills at the same time.
They held the vote 3 weeks later. I sat in that boardroom and I watched people I had hired, mentored, introduced to their own opportunities, raise their hands against me. Frank Calloway read a prepared statement about strategic vision alignment and leadership evolution. He used the phrase best interests of the company 4 times. He never once looked me in the eye. Diane sat directly across from me. For most of the meeting, she looked at the table. Once, near the end, she looked up. Our eyes met for just a moment.
She looked away first. The vote was 5-1. The 1 was my own vote. They offered me a settlement, a buyout of my equity stake at a valuation that was, I would later discover, deliberately and significantly below market. They had a document ready, a pen sitting on top of it. Here is where I want to pause, because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did she sign it? Did she fight it? What would you have done? I picked up that pen. I looked at the document.
And then I set the pen back down. I need my attorney to review this, I said. I'll be in touch. And I walked out. That was the moment everything changed. Not the betrayal, not the vote. That moment, that decision to stop, to breathe, to not let them rush me into signing away everything I had built under the pressure of my own shock and heartbreak, that was the moment that made everything that came after possible. But I am getting ahead of myself, because before the comeback, there was the collapse. I will not pretend the next 6 months were anything other than what they were. I cried in my car every single morning for 2 weeks. I'm talking about the kind of crying that scares you a little, the kind that comes from somewhere so deep it doesn't feel like it belongs to you. My daughter, who was 8 years old at the time, came into the bathroom one night while I was trying to get it together before dinner and looked at me and said, "Mama, are you going to be okay?" I told her yes. I didn't know if I was telling the truth. My attorney reviewed the settlement and confirmed what I had suspected. The valuation was suppressed significantly. She believed we had grounds to dispute it, but she also told me plainly, a legal fight would be expensive, slow, and emotionally exhausting, and there were no guarantees. I had about $60,000 in personal savings. I spent 2 weeks barely leaving my house. I stopped sleeping properly. I kept opening my laptop to start something, a plan, a document, anything, and closing it again after 20 minutes. And then, one morning, about 6 weeks after the removal, I got a phone call from a woman named Gloria Chen. Gloria had been one of the very first clients I had ever placed, a financial analyst who had taken 4 years off to care for her twins and been rejected by 37 companies before Relaunch Partners found her a role. She had heard what happened. "Rachel," she said, "don't let them win by making you disappear. Build something they can never take from you." I sat with that for a long time. Then I opened my laptop, and this time I didn't close it. Here is what Diane and the board had not counted on. In the chaos of the removal, in their rush to push me out before I could organize, they had made one critical legal error. My attorney found it buried in the original partnership agreement that Diane and I had signed 6 years earlier. A non-compete clause, standard boilerplate, the kind that's in every founding document, that had never been properly updated when the company structure changed after the Series A funding round. In its current legal form, it applied to Diane, not to me. Meaning, I was free to start a competing firm immediately. Diane, and by extension the board, was not free to poach my clients or my methodology for 24 months. My attorney sent a very polite, very precise letter to the Relaunch Partners legal team on a Wednesday afternoon. By Thursday morning, they had agreed to renegotiate the settlement. I walked away with a fair valuation of my equity stake,
enough to start something new, enough to breathe. But I wasn't starting from zero, because in the weeks after my removal, 7 of Relaunch Partners' best placement consultants, women I had hired, trained, and mentored, had quietly reached out to me. They didn't like what had been done. They had been watching. They were ready to walk. I told them to wait, to be patient, to do everything right and clean. And 6 weeks after I signed the new settlement, all 7 of them resigned on the same morning and joined my new company. I named it Ascend Placement Group. We opened our doors on a Monday. By Friday of that same week, we had 11 active clients.
What happened over the next 3 years, I still have trouble putting into words because it happened so fast and so completely that it sometimes feels like it belonged to someone else's life. Ascend Placement Group grew faster than Relaunch Partners ever had. We were leaner, sharper, more focused. I had learned through the most painful education possible exactly what mistakes not to make in hiring, in partnerships, in trust, in governance. I brought in an outside board from day one. I structured equity carefully. I put legal protections in place that I had never thought to put in place before. Because before, I hadn't imagined I needed to protect myself from the people I loved.
By the end of year 2, Ascend had placed over 300 women in senior corporate roles across 14 states. We had been featured in Forbes, in Fast Company, in a segment on a national morning news program. My daughter watched that segment, sitting next to me on the couch. When it ended, she looked at me and said, "Mama, I want to do what you do when I grow up." I thought about the parking lot. I thought about the cardboard box. I thought about the security guard who wouldn't look me in the eye. And meanwhile, while all of this was happening, Relaunch Partners was quietly falling apart. It turned out that what had made the company special was not the name, or the client list, or the infrastructure. It was the culture. It was the consultants who had left. It was me. Diane had the brand. She didn't have the soul. Client retention dropped. Key hires kept leaving. The methodology that Diane had watched me build over 5 years, she had never truly understood deeply enough to execute without me there to lead it. Relaunch Partners posted its first operating loss 18 months after my removal. By month 24, they were bleeding. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon in October. I was in a strategy meeting when my assistant knocked on the glass and held up a note. "Diane Holt says it's urgent." I asked my team to give me a few minutes. I sat alone in the conference room for a moment before I picked up the phone. I want to be honest with you about what I felt in that moment, because I think it matters. It wasn't triumph. It wasn't the electric satisfaction I had imagined during the darkest nights 3 years earlier, when I had allowed myself to wonder what this moment would feel like. What I felt was tired and sad, and something that was very close to grief. "Rachel," Diane said. Her voice sounded smaller than I had ever heard it. "I need your help." Relaunch Partners had been approached by a private equity group. The deal was contingent on turning around their operational metrics within 90 days. Their board, Frank Calloway included, the man who had read that statement about strategic vision alignment, had voted to approach me about a consulting engagement. Diane was calling personally because she knew no one else could make that ask. I let the silence sit for a long moment. "Send me the financials," I said. "I'll review them this week." "Rachel." "Send me the financials, Diane," I said again. "We'll talk after I've seen them." I hung up. I sat in that quiet conference room for a very long time. Then I called my attorney. Then I called my most trusted board member. Then I went back into my strategy meeting and I finished what we had started. I did not lose 1 hour of sleep that night. For the first time in 3 years, I slept completely through until morning. I reviewed the financials.
I consulted with my attorney and my board. And then I called Diane back with my answer. I would not take the consulting engagement. Not because I needed them to fail, not out of bitterness or spite, but because I had spent 3 years building something clean and strong and entirely my own, and I was not going to entangle it with the wreckage of something that had been built on betrayal. I offered instead to refer them to a colleague, a talented operations consultant who I genuinely believed could help them. I gave Diane her name and her contact information. That was all I gave her. Relaunch Partners sold at a distressed valuation 6 months later. I read about it in the Austin Business Journal on a Thursday morning over coffee. I turned the page and kept reading. I have not spoken to Diane since that phone call. I don't know if I ever will again. What I know is that I don't carry it anymore. The anger, the wound, the constant low hum of having been wronged. I set it down somewhere along the way, and I honestly could not tell you exactly when. What I carry instead is this: the knowledge that the thing they tried to take from me was never the company. Companies can be taken. Companies can fail. The thing they tried to take was my belief in what I was capable of. And they did not get that. Not even close. Here is what I want to leave you with today. Betrayal by someone you trusted completely, someone you built something with, someone who knew all of your weak points and chose to use them, is one of the most disorienting things a human being can experience. Because it doesn't just hurt. It makes you question your own judgment. It makes you wonder how you missed it. It makes you afraid to trust again. But here is what Rachel Torres' story tells us. The most dangerous thing you can do in the aftermath of betrayal is sign the paper in a hurry. Rush yourself through the grief. Let them define the terms of your next chapter. The most powerful thing you can do is slow down. Stay calm. Find the one detail they were too arrogant to think you would notice and build something so real that even the people who tried to erase you end up needing to dial your number. Rachel didn't chase revenge. She chose excellence. And excellence, it turns out, is the most devastating answer you can give to anyone who ever told you, with their actions or their votes or their signed board resolutions, that you were replaceable. You are not replaceable, and neither is the story you are still writing. If this moved you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it right now, someone going through something that feels impossible. And drop a comment below and tell me, what would you have done when they slid that pen across the table? Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. That tells me everything I need to know about the kind of person you are. I'll see you in the next one.